It's desert. I was the perfect child. Until a couple of days later when I moved home to Holtville to live with my parents, and I'm sure it all went downhill from there. Growing up, I don't remember having any problems. I mean, family, I'm sure we didn't have enough money, but I didn't know it. It was, we had what we needed. My dad worked in agriculture. He was first a cook in they had a labor camp where the people who came to work for the season would live, and he was the head of that. He later became a harvest supervisor. He was in charge of the people doing the harvesting. So he was gone a lot growing up. He would go away for the season. Whatever, let a season in the valley, he'd be there, and then when it's done there, it moves to Salinas or Bakersfield, and so on you would go. So he would be gone for a month or two at a time. But when he came home, he always had something for us. One time it was like a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket full of change, because he had a soda machine that he kept stocked, and so he brought all the money from that, and we were like, he just like, for Christmas that year was, take what you want. It was interesting. I learned early that in the first house that I remember growing up in, that you shouldn't stand under trees when your brother's building a tree house, because you get dropped a hammer on your head. Don't get your brother and his friends mad at you because they throw rocks at you and hit you in the head. Don't swing on the edge of a carport on a swing and lean back really far, because you get hit in the back of the head. So, so I learned that I have a hard head. In more ways than one. When I was about 7 or 8, we moved into a new house. My dad had a house built, and it was a 4-bedroom house. It was huge compared to the little thing we lived in before. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm number 2 in there. It was pretty good, me and my brother, until the other ones came along. And we used to do fun stuff, like we had football helmets and we would put them on and then get opposite sides of the room and run and hit each other in the head. I don't know what's with the head thing. I don't know. But, yeah, I thought it was, yes, I thought it was Ecclesiastes. When we moved into the new house, shortly after, we started going to church. We didn't go to church before that. My dad was raised Catholic, but never went to church that I remember. My mom used to go to a couple different churches in town when she was growing up, but we didn't go to church until somewhere around 10 years old-ish. All these time frames are estimates, because I don't remember that well back then. But about 10 years old, we started going to a little country church. It was a Quaker church called Friends Church out in the country. And I remember going to Sunday school and hearing stories and doing crafts. And I remember the old preacher, literally old guy, would teach, do the message. And there were things that, as a kid, didn't make sense. Like you talked about, the only one I could really remember, because it stuck with me, was, and I'm not even sure the verse that goes with it, maybe you can come up with it, that we're built together, and kind of likened it to being a brick in the wall. And as a 10-year-old or 11-year-old, it just seemed kind of weird to me that we were going to go to heaven and be a brick. I had a literal thought in my head, we were going to be part of a wall. And so it just was kind of weird to me. A couple years later, pastor changed, and for some reason we stopped going. But I did take something important from that time, that there was a God and that he loved me. I didn't know what that fully meant until much later in my life. But I had that foundation. I knew he was there. I don't remember exactly when this was, but I had I don't know what the phrase to fit it, but there was a time where I just thought to myself, I was like 11, maybe 12, what it would be like to be dead. And in my mind, it was drifting through space alone and cold. And I didn't like it. And I started crying. And my mother, what are you crying about? I said, I don't want to die. She's, you're not going to die. That's all I got at the time. It would have been an opportunity at that time to kind of expand on my knowledge at that point, but I didn't get that then. Moved through life, small town. The town I grew up in was 5,000 people. City limits was a mile square. We lived just outside of city limits and got involved in things in school and junior high. I was self-conscious. I'm still self-conscious a lot, very. But I was very self-conscious in junior high. Didn't know where I fit in. I got involved in band, football, flag football there in junior high, the journalism club, and a science club. We had an astronomy club as well. I'm just trying to see where I belong. What group do I go with? Never really figured it out. Moved into high school and started getting a little bit of focus in life, a little bit. My focus, I wanted to be in agriculture. We had FFA, Future Farmers of America. My brother had been in it. He's a couple years ahead. And I wanted to do that too. So my focus started in high school with FFA, and which was good because it gave me some focus and it helped my studies as well. One of the neighborhood friends, we used to go to hang out at each other's house, actually shared the gospel with me one time. I was probably a sophomore in high school, maybe even a freshman. But it was, he tried his best. He shared the gospel, but he told me I needed to go to church and walk the aisle. And going back to being self-conscious, I don't want to go walk down the aisle and be in the front. So I didn't do that. But I knew the gospel. I don't really, and I think I actually prayed the prayer thingy that he had, but I don't know that it really meant enough to me at that point because it felt like I had to do more. So I don't really count that as the time I accepted the Lord. But a couple years later, I was playing football, and one of the guys on the football team started Fellowship of Christian Athletes at his house during the week, and all the football team went. And during that time, one of the nights at the end, he passed out these tracts, The Four Spiritual Laws. So I think it was Campus Crusade for Christ that put those out, I believe. And that is a time where I really was able to focus and know. And the four spiritual laws, if you have never seen the tract, is God loves you, offers you a wonderful plan for your life, and uses John 3:16 and John 10:10. Come they might have life, might have it more abundantly. The second law is all of us sin, and our sin has separated us from God. Romans 3:23, for all have sinned. 6:23, the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. The third spiritual law was Jesus Christ is God's only provision for our sin. Through him, we can know and experience God's love and plan for our life. But God demonstrated his love toward us, in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. And the last of the four spiritual laws was, we must individually receive Jesus Christ as Savior and Lord, and then we can know and experience God's love and plan for our life. And John 1:12 says, but as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become the children of God, to those who believe on his name. And going through that, it was very clear. And afterwards, the friend who was running the group came to us, and we all read it together in like little groups and said, does that look like something you want to do? And I said, yes, it does. And I prayed and accepted the Lord there. I count that as the time, because that's when I really knew, I understood, and it was clear to me, and it made sense. So that was the time I accepted the Lord. Although God had been putting things in my path and bringing me along all the way. It wasn't a one time and all. He's been working a long time. He's still working. He's still working on me. Let's see. Where are we at here? My plan for my life, because I was involved in FFA and really enjoyed doing that, was to become an ag teacher. Because my favorite teacher was my ag teacher, who I found out toward the end of high school was also a Christian. But he was my favorite teacher, and that was my favorite subject. And so I wanted to become an ag teacher as well. That was my goal. And so I started going to college. We had a community college, and I started going there. Also, one of the adult sponsors of our Fellowship of Christian Athletes was a teacher at the college and had a class called Bible as Literature. So he was actually basically we did Bible study in college, which was the way to get around it legally. We had Bible as Literature class. And during that time, I kind of got strayed away from I got tired of school and the classes I needed to take, and I started taking classes that were just fun. I took alcohol fuel production, wildlife law enforcement, because I had a relative who was a game warden. I took advanced first aid and EMT, just because those were things I thought were interesting. Then, let's go. The basketball game of destiny. I went to go play basketball at the local elementary school. We went to elementary school because you could dunk it, because the baskets were only 8 feet. And I went to go play basketball and with a friend of mine, and there was this older couple guys there, not terribly old. They had graduated college. One of them was a youth pastor, and the other one was the young adult Sunday school teacher. And so we were playing basketball with them and talking, and they invited me to church, and I said, okay. So I started going to church and got involved, Sunday school, youth group, and from there it moved on to Word of Life. We started Word of Life clubs, and I'm running out of time. We started a youth group, We started a youth thing. The kids wanted to get busy doing stuff for service in the church. So we started something called Busy Kids. And it was an acrostic for being useful, so you know I do serve. And we would do take dinners to elderly people or help clean their yard or do things like that. We would anybody needed something, we would try to go do it. So we wanted to be in service. We would make cakes or something for people, and my dad would see these cakes at home, and he goes, "Oh, cake, so you can't have that. That's for such and such." And my dad, he's like, "Where's mine?" He used to call us the Church of the Pericacho, which in the Cape Verdean Portuguese means dog's foot. And that doesn't translate well by itself, but it means you run around a lot. Because the dog's foot is always moving, even when he's sleeping, it's always moving. So he's like, "You guys run around a lot." And he thought it was good that I was going to church, by the way. He told me one time, it's a good thing. It's good that you're going to church. Going from there, being a Word of Life assistant leader in the Word of Life clubs, we went to this thing called the Blueprint for Evangelism in Los Angeles one time, or in Anaheim, and seminars. We did some street walking down the road, doing this religious survey where we're going door to door and asking, is basically a way of sharing the gospel. And at this conference was a group from Word of Life, the Collegians, their choir. And they were there singing, and they did a presentation, and they had catalogs for the college. And I was like, that looks like fun. I'd like to do that. And I looked at the catalog and decided, okay, let's go for it. And so I said, well, I need to make some money. So I had an opportunity that came up. The fire department in our next town over from us was hiring, and I decided to apply. And they were going to hire 3 people, and I was number 3 on the list. And so I was praying and telling the Lord, okay, Lord, this is what I'm planning. I don't know if this is what you plan. And went to do, to apply, you had to do a physical test, like climb up an 80-foot ladder. You had to run with a hose for 100 feet. You had to sit down with 3 fire chiefs and have an interview. And I passed all these, and they said, okay, go get your physical. And when I went to get my physical, I had high blood pressure, and they rejected me. So I was like, okay, Lord. It still gets me. When you see God move. So I had to find another way to make money. So I started working for my dad. A couple of I worked for the lettuce season and for the watermelon season at a truck scale that had to weigh all the trucks. I made a lot of money during that time. It was enough to pay for my year at Word of Life. Word of Life was a 1-year Bible Institute. You study Bible in different ways, and you have Christian service, and you have ministries. And so I went. I applied, and I flew to another world. I flew into New York City, JFK. Never been there. Got on a bus to the Port Authority terminal, took a taxi to Grand Central Station, got on a Greyhound bus and headed north. Because in my mind back then, New York was New York City. I knew nothing about the Adirondacks or Western New York. While there, I got involved in a lot of ministries, the choir, the Collegians. We did a lot of plays, Christmas plays, Passion play. We taught books of the Bible through plays. Revelation, Daniel, Genesis. We did through singing, multimedia, and acting. I got a chance to go to Great Britain for a couple of weeks on tour doing the book of Revelation, teaching that. Decided to go back for a second year. They have a second year called School of Youth Ministries. And I went home, earned some money, and went back again. Trying to wrap this up quickly, because the important part of this is I met this little nurse. My work assignment when I was in SYM the second year was a van driver, and I took students that needed medical stuff to the local doctors. And so I would come and get with Becky, and we'd go over this, okay, this person needs this and this and this, and go take them to the doctor. Got to know her a little more. I knew her before because she was a friend of one of my roommates in the first year. We graduated in 1984, went on some more tours, came back to be a unit leader, which was I had a group of counselors during summer camp on their island. They had a 90-acre island summer camp, and I was over some of the guy counselors. And Becky and I were just friends. We were dating. I just don't think I was admitting it. It just happened to be the days that I took off, she had off because she was smart and planned it. I just happened to show up and go, hey, are you doing anything? Wanted to stay at Word of Life and work there, but that's not what God. Thank you very much. God had other plans. I didn't get to stay there and work. I enjoyed it. Becky and I became more than friends, and we got married in 1986. Moved to California for a couple years. Had some rough times. Right after we got back from our honeymoon in Mexico, which Becky got really sick at, she ended up in the hospital for quite a while and couldn't work. And we made it through that. And there was a lot of stress with, we really wanted to serve the Lord, but we didn't know where, didn't know how. And I think we had different opinions on how to make that work. How do we, I'm more of, as I'm doing something, God's going to open something up. I'm not a, let's make this happen kind of person, and which is not bad either way. It's just not me. And so there was some stress with us trying to get what we're going to do in life. Then came time we decided, you know what, my opportunities for work there weren't very good. So Becky was pregnant, wanted to be with her mom here in Florida. At the same time, my mother had colon cancer, and it was stage 4, and there was no hope. It was difficult to move, but we did. At that time, one of the verses I needed to help me was leave and cleave. So we moved. Took a while, but things worked out here. God gave us opportunity and gave us direction. Rachel was born, had issues, sitting there in the hospital outside the NICU, looking through the little, they had the things up so you couldn't see her well. I'm looking through, I could see him working on her. All you can do is trust. But we were in the right place. We had a right place. There was a autism specialist here in town. Then along came Promise and a ministry. And that's where I'll leave you.